parents often told us, don't do drugs. But what happens when those drugs are essential for our health? The use of opioids in medicine stretches back to ancient times, with the first recorded mention of it being a Sumerian clay tablet dating back to 2100 BC. However, opioid use has now become a controversial topic in the United States. Drugs like oxycodone, despite being immensely helpful in treating ailments, are now frowned upon because they can be easily abused and overdosed on. In today's video, we're going to take a deep dive into how oxycodone is made. This miracle drug of the 1930s might no longer be seen as a miracle in the 21st century, but the production process with its high precision techniques can inspire a similar reverence. Without further ado, let's jump right in. In 1916, Martin Freund and Edmund Speyer, scientists at the University of Frankfurt, published the first synthesis on oxycodone from thebaine. A year later, the drug was used clinically for the first time. In early 1928, German pharmacology company Merck introduced a combination product named SEE after the German initials of its primary ingredients: scopolamine, oxycodone, ephedrine. During the 1930s, SEE grew in popularity in Germany and Central Europe. Its popularity peaked during World War II as surgeons used it in minor and major surgeries for soldiers. Prior to World War II, Dr. Martin Kirschner did extensive research on SEE and promoted the drug. When Wehrmacht, the German military, adopted the product in 1938, they referred to it as Kirschner's injection. Ironically, Speyer, one of the inventors of oxycodone, lost his life during the Holocaust. Merck sold over 2 million ampules of SEE to Wehrmacht over the course of the war. Oxycodone was introduced to the US market in 1939, but it took over a decade before it became a staple in American healthcare. In 1996, Connecticut-based company Purdue Pharma released Oxycontin, a prescription painkiller. Purdue aggressively marketed their product, which triggered a rise in oxycodone prescriptions and OxyContin reportedly generating around $35 billion for the company. Unfortunately, the ease of oxycodone extraction from OxyContin also caused a dramatic rise in the recreational use of oxycodone. Deaths attributed to the opioid increased from 14 in 1998 to 1,007 in 2006. In 2007, Purdue agreed to pay $600 million after pleading guilty to providing misleading information about OxyContin to regulators. Today, oxycodone is sold in immediate release and extended release forms, as well as in combination with other drugs such as aspirin, naloxone, and more. Although oxycodone is found naturally in nectar extracts from some orchid species, it is commercially synthesized from the opium poppy. Opium poppy contains thebaine, an alkaloid that serves as the key raw material for producing oxycodone. Thebaine is chemically similar to morphine, codeine, and other opiates, but has a methoxy group at C3 and C6 positions, giving it stimulatory rather than depressant effects. Oxycodone production begins with the extraction of thebaine from the poppy plant. Poppy pods, which are harvested before they ripe, are scratched to allow the latex leak out. This labor-intensive process is called scoring. The latex is collected and it dries into a sticky yellowish residue that is scraped off and dehydrated. The raw opium goes through a series of chemical extractions to isolate thebaine. These include a stepwise culture of genetically engineered E. coli, a type of bacteria. Once isolated, the thebaine solution serves as the primary ingredient for the next phase of production. The conversion of thebaine to oxycodone is a highly complex chemical process and is typically done in a highly controlled laboratory setting because precision is needed at each point in the process. Oxycodone is a Schedule II drug in the US. Oh, you don't know what that means? Basically, the government does not want you to touch them because these drugs have a 100% chance of turning you into a junkie. Thus, oxycodone has strict FDA regulations, and you'd not find a step-by-step online tutorial of how to convert thebaine to oxycodone. However, the process typically involves 3 key reactions, first of which is hydrogenation. Through catalytic hydrogenation using a catalyst such as palladium, platinum oxide, or nickel, hydrogen bonds are added to thebane's double bonds. Hydrogen molecules are bubbled through the thebane catalyst reaction mixture to provide the needed hydrogen atoms. The reaction itself is typically conducted in an ethanol or methanol solvent under moderate pressure and controlled temperature. The process reduces specific double bonds, particularly those in the dihydrofuran ring, converting thebane into codenone, which is an important intermediate compound. Oxidation and reduction are the next reactions in the process. Various oxidizing agents such as potassium permanganate and osmium tetroxide are used to oxidize codenone into hydrocodenone. The formation of 14-hydrocodenone is made possible by the introduction of the hydroxyl group into codenone using the oxidizing agent. Afterwards, selecting reducive agents like palladium or carbon reduces hydrocodenone into raw oxycodone, which can be moved to the next stage of the production process. Once again, a hydroxyl group is involved, but this time is gotten from the 6-cato group, a carbonyl group that is acted upon by the reducing agent. The oxidation and reduction steps are carefully controlled to ensure only desired positions in the molecule are modified. Choosing appropriate reagents and reaction conditions are extremely important. The reactions are typically conducted under mild conditions to prevent over-oxidation or unwanted side reactions, which could lead to the formation of byproducts or degradation of the molecule. Either way, this is not what we want to happen. Purification follows to remove any impurities or byproducts. Crystallization and chromatography are some common techniques that are typically employed in this stage. The purified oxycodone is collected as a crystalline powder and is ready to be processed into its final forms. The final formulation process depends on the intended use for the drug, and the medication can be made into tablets, capsules, or liquid solutions. For immediate release tablets, which are meant for quick pain relief, oxycodone is mixed with binders and fillers. Extended release tablets like Oxycontin use specialized coatings and matrix chemical structures to enable the slow release of the drug over time. Comprehensive testing is carried out at every stage of the manufacturing process, beginning with the extraction of thebane and continuing all the way to the packing of the oxycodone drug, to guarantee the quality standards are observed. Additionally, the required potency of the medicine as well as its safety are confirmed both times. The fact that oxycodone is permitted for use in medicine does not change the fact that it has repeatedly demonstrated that it can be fatal if a few parameters are off the charts. Consequently, quality control is of the utmost importance, and oxycodone is put through rigorous testing at each stage of production to ensure its potency, purity, and safety. Using methods such as high-performance liquid chromatography, gas chromatography, infrared spectroscopy, and others, raw materials are examined to determine their identification, purity, and potency, as well as to determine whether or not they contain potential contaminants. Additionally, one of the typical phases of quality control in pharmaceutical goods is the in-process controls phase. In the case of oxycodone, these include determining the temperatures of the reaction, the pH of the reaction, the flow rates, and the concentrations at various phases of the reaction. Before moving on to the subsequent step, it was necessary to conduct tests on intermediate products such as codenone or hydrocodenone to ensure they are up to the requisite quality requirements. When it comes to a complicated chemical synthesis such as the one that produces oxycodone, even a few milligrams of impurities can completely derail the process. In the event the intermediate products do not fulfill the requirements, the process could be interrupted in order to make improvements or undergo reprocessing. Last but not least, chromatography and spectroscopy are utilized in order to conduct identity and purity checks on the finished product. It is not necessary to conduct potency testing after the chemical identification of the product has been established. This is done in order to ascertain the concentration of the active pharmaceutical ingredient, API, which guarantees that the dosage is supplied will be both effective and consistent. In addition to testing for potency and purity, stability tests are also carried out in order to evaluate how the medicine behaves under a variety of situations, including those involving heat, light, and humidity. It is possible for pharmacists to determine the opioid shelf life on the basis of their knowledge of how the medicine is affected by the various environments. Stringent rules are established by regulatory bodies such as the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, and the Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA, of the United States of America. These guidelines regulate the manner in which quality testing is carried out. Oxycodone is one of the most heavily controlled medications on the market because of its highly addictive nature. As a result, manufacturers are subject to stringent rules and fines in order to control the amount of risk that is present in their products. In order to prevent abuse and make certain that oxycodone is used in a manner that is both safe and effective for genuine medicinal purposes, this oversight is very necessary. When all of the quality control tests have been completed successfully and the regulatory agencies have given their approval, oxycodone is ready to be sold in the market. As is the case with previous phases, the packaging is subject to stringent controls in order to preserve the integrity of the pharmaceuticals and prevent any tampering. Automated machines are used to fill the principal packaging materials with the medications. These materials include blister packs and bottles for tablets and capsules, ampules for sterile liquid pharmaceuticals, and sachets for powders or granules. Second, in order to prevent contamination, the containers are either sealed or capped. Additionally, the dosage instructions, expiration date, safety warnings, and any other relevant safety cautions are stamped on each individual packet. The pharmaceuticals are packaged in cartons, and inserts are typically integrated into each individual box. After the cartons have been stacked on pallets for the purpose of bulk handling and transportation, they are next overwrapped with shrink wrap or foil to give an extra layer of tamper-evident protection. Quality control is carried out by automated systems or by human inspectors, even at this level. The purpose of quality control is to check for flaws, ensure that the labeling is proper, ensure that the seal is intact, and ensure that regulations on packaging are adhered to. The product is then stored in facilities that have been sterilized before it is supplied to pharmacies, hospitals, and other forms of healthcare providers. Once the product has been packaged, secure storage is given the highest priority. Today, the United States is in the middle of an opioid epidemic, and drugs like oxycodone get bad hype in the media. However, we should not forget oxycodone is a powerful analgesic that has benefited thousands from chronic pain, malignment, and other illnesses that causes unbearable pain. Oxycodone prescriptions are only recommended when pain relief from other alternatives are not effective enough. Nonetheless, science is continuously on the search for better options. Until then, oxycodone tablets are often the best bet, and now you know how it's made. We've come to the end of another insightful video. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to be informed whenever we release a new video. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.